Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday's webinar from Anicca Digital. It's myself and Stanley. I'm in disguise today. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of an accident and I've hurt my face, and so I'm keeping my camera off so you don't have to see my very beautiful black eyes. I've done a good impersonation of a panda this morning, but fortunately, we've got Mathias and James who are going to make up the show, and they look beautiful in their cameras this morning. So Mathias, you haven't seen before. Mathias is a guest. He's the founder of Rankscale, and he will introduce himself in a minute. But just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to share some introductory slides after we've done the polls. So we're going to do the polls first. You should be able to go and grab the handouts top right. And if you're completely new to Anicca's webinars, you will get the videos in a couple of hours. And also, just to let you know, you should be able to increase the screen size with little arrows top right once I share my screen. So I think that's probably all the intros I need to do now. So let's go into the polls. And I'm going to start by asking, we've got 3 questions today. The first question is about whether you're responsible for SEO in your company. So I'm just going to hit the start polling button, and then I will maximize the screen, and I will read out the question, and please hit reply for us. So are you responsible for SEO in your company? No, I'm not involved in SEO. I am involved in on-page SEO and creating content. I'm involved in tech SEO. Oh, sorry for the typo. I'm involved in PR and link building. I'm responsible for everything. So as we get a few more answers come in, we'll get an idea of the split. So some of you are going to, I'm not sure whether you can hit more than one answer, but I guess if you want to try that and have a look. So about a quarter of the people so far are not involved at all. And about 42% are responsible for everything. So it's fluctuating a little bit. I think we've got a few more people that are, so 27, so about a quarter are not involved in SEO at all. So that gives us an idea of who are the beginners. And then I'm responsible for everything. These are the guys that are doing pretty much everything. And then it's a bit of a mix between. So thank you for that one. So we'll go back and do the next one. So the next one is about the difference between SEO and generative search optimization. Now, generative search optimization is getting your results found in things like the AI Overviews, Perplexity, ChatGPT. So up until today, do you know the difference between SEO and GSO, or generative search? I've not heard of either. I know about SEO, but not GSO. Yes, I do know about both, and realize that GSO is to get in the AI Overviews and Gen AI results like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude. No, Claude doesn't go online, so Claude's not relevant there. So it's the others, really. That's interesting. So over pretty much, it's nearly a 50-50 split of people that know about what SEO is, but don't know what GSO is, and people that know the difference. So that's good. So I would say we've got a 50-50 split here. I guess that's why they're here, because they know it's important. So that's useful to know. And then I think the last question is a little bit interesting. It's just a simple yes/no answer. And it is, have you checked your own brand in the Gen AI search results like Google AI Overviews, ChatGPT, etc., etc.? So we want to know whether you're nosy and you're checking yourself out. Oh, is that working? I haven't got any responses yet.
I can see it. Oh, I think there's responses coming through, but it was just the lag on the main screen.
So I reckon the people that have heard of GSO are probably the ones that are checking out themselves, don't you? I think that's quite likely. So yeah. Actually interesting. The figures have switched slightly. So there's some people that knew they were different. So we're about a 60-40. So I guess really that means people should go and check their brands, or maybe they're not necessarily working for anybody at the moment. So that could have skewed the results slightly.
Or perhaps people know about the AI overviews and everything, but they don't have a tool, or they don't know how to do that check.
Yeah, but they could just go into AI Overviews and stick their brand in and see if they come up.
Can do.
Or, the name of their service or the name of their product, I guess. But yeah, I think you're right. That having a tool to help you is really, really difficult at the moment. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen. So let's close that down. I will share my screen so that I can build my slides. Okay, so can you see them okay, guys?
Yes.
So I will just make my slides bigger. I've only got a few slides and then we'll go straight into the demo. I can't seem to click on the hide button, so I'm going to have to put up with that, I'm afraid. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Generative Search Optimisation, or GSO. It's sometimes called Generative Engine Optimisation, or GEO, as well, and AI Answer Engine, all sorts of things. It's got lots of different names. And what we're going to be talking about is how to measure and optimize your site to rank in ChatGPT and AI Overviews. And most of the demo is going to be around the Rankscale tool and how that can help you understand what GSO is to give you a strategy. So just moving on to the next slide. So as most of you know, I'm Anne Stanley. I'm the founder and CTO of Anicca. Mathias, do you want to just, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it properly. Do you just want to introduce yourself and how you came to found Rankscale?
Sure, of course. Yeah, I'm Mathias. Nice to see you, or to meet you all. I'm the founder of Rankscale, and I was previously a managing director of another startup where I was actually trying to build our website last summer, and coming to some hurdles regarding SEO, and also being very active in the AI and how to say in the various AI APIs at that time with the other startup. I was thinking like how to rank in Perplexity specifically, and then I jumped into a rabbit hole and started to do a first analysis tool just for myself as an MVP. Sent it to friends and colleagues, and they were totally they loved it. And so I started to actually implement Rankscale also with the monitoring, tracking, and so on. And ever since, I spent like every minute, every night on the site. And since this week, I'm actually full all into Rankscale. So I'm building the company, getting public grants, having first contracts, and it's an amazing time. Maybe from another point, I'm not a classic SEO person, as you may guess. I'm having another perspective. I'm very, very broad on the education part, computing, informatics and stuff. But I was always in sales and marketing for B2B software in a very complex fields like automotive and autonomous driving. So
Right.
that's my background.
James, do you want to give a bit of an introduction to yourself as well?
Yeah, so I've been working with Anicca for some years now. I've been in SEO since 2009. I very quickly kind of progressed to technical SEO and crawling websites and looking at all the different technical issues, page speed, Chrome DevTools performance tab, looking inside the main thread of the browser and what all the bottlenecks are, stuff like that. I also am one of the tutors at Anicca as well in terms of teaching SEO. And in addition to that, I am also a search engine land author as well. So.
And you have created a tool called Mammoth, which we've used to create content using the ChatGPT or the OpenAI, the OpenAI API. So you're like me, you're also heavily into your AI as well, aren't you?
Yeah, so a lot of that is AI API scripting with Python and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very much into that as well.
Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the buttons to go this. I'm having to click it on the screen. So if you're not familiar, Anicca celebrated our 18th birthday in February, and we do 5 main things: strategy, social, search, shopping, and skills. We've also got a bit of a spin-off on the AI side, which is one of the reasons we were really interested in talking to Mathias about the Rankscale and GSO, etc. But these are the core things that we do. And what I'm going to cover in this webinar, first of all, is I'm going to give you a little bit of an update of what is GSO. Then we're going to do the demo, and then we're going to focus on a Q&A session. But we may ask questions as we go along, because although we've seen this and I've been playing around with it, I think sometimes we're going to be asking the questions that you guys are going to want asked. But please do ask questions in the chat. James will try and answer them as we go through. So generative search optimization then. So this is what it looks like when you do a search in AI Overviews. This was for a pitch that we were doing, and we looked in, it was a savings bank. So we looked in 15-year fixed rate bonds, and the AI Overviews came up very much at the top. Now, if you put that in, you won't necessarily see the same. And this is partly due to the fact that I have signed up for what's called Google Labs. So I probably see more AI Overviews than you. But generally what they do is they provide a summary, and this is what we call the sort of the mention or the content. And then there's links here, which you can see, and then the links are also on the right-hand side. Now, if we were in the States, we would probably see quite a lot of ads appearing. And I know that Mathias has got quite a lot of data on this, which he may share with us later on. But what we want to know is your brand mentioned in here? And because you can see here, we've got Money Supermarket, Money Facts. I can't see what that one is. Something Lansdowne, I suspect. And are you mentioned? Is your competitor mentioned? And if you are mentioned in here, are you mentioned in a positive sentiment? Are they saying nice things about you, not so nice things about you? And also, are there other links in here where you might be mentioned? So, for example, if I did a search in here and I was looking for best digital marketing agencies in the East Midlands, you would see that there was a lot of mentions of directory sites, and they can be quite important. Wikipedia, media sites, and sometimes they can be important if you want to get found in these results, if you've got to be found in them as well. And that becomes really important when we actually get to the next stage of trying to understand how to get found in those results. So another example was, this was about niche and challenger banks in the UK. And so this is where there was a load of brands listed. So obviously I'm not going to tell you who the pitch was for, but if they were listed here, that would be very helpful to know whether they're getting mentions in here. So that this is going into ChatGPT. And of course, with ChatGPT, you've got the little globe button, which means that you are going online. So I wanted to first of all explain to you the elements of how generative search works. And this is very similar in a way to how the normal results work, except for the fact that it's plugged into the internet. So I'm just going to explain what we mean by this. So first of all of these large language models like Gemini, which is Google, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all the others that you hear, DeepSeek, all the others that you hear about, they use a large language model which is trained with information from the internet and from all the other sources that they've added in. And the content is, it's called vectorized. So each word is converted into a sort of a numerical value, or parts of a word into a numerical value, or it's called embedding. And so if you think of a word like Apple, 50% of the people in the room will think of iPhone, and 50% of the people in the room will think of apple pie, depending on whether they're hungry or not. So it will change depending on the time of day, I suggest. And so you can imagine that there's a whole load of words associated with apple pie, like apple recipe, apple tree, I can't think of anything else, different types of apples, green apples, red apples, and they're all going to be very closely associated with each other. And in some cases, they might even be classed as synonyms of each other. Whereas you've got another class of words that are like iPhone and iPad and Steve Jobs and things like that, which are, again, they're quite closely related to each other. But, you know, iPhone is not related to an Apple recipe. So you can see how this vectoring works. And if you can imagine a sort of a three-dimensional universe of all these words, that they're associated to, clustered together in sorts of meanings or topics, if you see what I mean. So what that means is when somebody enters the prompt is also converted into a load of embeddings or a load of tokens, and that is used to find the relevant content from the training data, and it will return the information that is most likely to be relevant to that prompt. And so obviously, depending on the quality of the prompt and the way that you do your prompting, and I've actually got a blog on prompting, if you can add that into the notes, James, you're going to get a better or worse result. Now, if it was just based on that, the data would always be out of date by about 12 months. So what they all do is they use something called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation data. It's sort of like the knowledge base. And also when you do things like create custom GPTs or you attach files to your prompt when you're adding your own information, this is supplementing or augmenting the original training data. And so you can add extra data, and it could be a live link into the internet, or it could be a load of extra information that's specific to your company. And those two together provide the source of material that will then answer the question when you put your prompt in. So what's happening behind the scenes is that in order for us to do generative search optimization, we need to understand actually what the results are when people put in a query or a prompt. Now, the problem is that a lot of the tools that are available at the moment on the market, if you think of things like SEMrush, SEO Monitor, what they do is they take their SEO key phrase ranking tool, where you've put in a load of key phrases that you want to be found for SEO and the normal search results. And then what happens is that they then scrape Google or they scrape whatever platform they're providing results for. And then they say, well, okay, for this particular query, there was an AI overview result and you were or you weren't shown. But those key phrases aren't really the sorts of things that people type in. And at the moment, there's no way of actually knowing exactly what people are typing in. And there's no tools like Search Console that tells the results. So we have to have what I would call a naked prompt, which is sort of a minimal key phrase. So it could be best digital marketing agency. And then you'd probably find that there'll be a load of words around it. So understanding the queries and the prompts is quite difficult to start with. And I suggest you look at things like Answer the Public, which is where you've got the tools where you put in some key phrases, and then it makes questions around that. And maybe that's something we might be able to show later if we've got time. So once we know what people are prompting on, we then need a tool that then tells us the results. You know, were we found? Was our brand found? Was our competitors found? Were we mentioned in the actual in the answer? So we need to bring that answer back. And also, which I haven't put in here, were we mentioned in the citations as well? Because that will help us in the process of reverse engineering this, which unfortunately I can't quite get rid of this on here. But it basically is what we need to do to change our website, change our content, have citations, have paid links even perhaps. You know, is that going to go against your SEO? Is it useful in GSO to try and improve your results and then over time actually get found? So that's the stuff that Mathias is going to show us and demonstrate to us. So just going on, I think I've got one more slide. Yeah. So what I did do is I grabbed our result. So this is just gives you a little bit of taster of what the tool is going to look like. And one of the things that you can do is you can add your own website and get a little bit of an assessment of how you're doing. And these are some of the factors. And I was quite pleased that we got a score of 83 before we'd even started on this project. So I think that's probably over to you now then. I think that's the last slide. So if you'd like to share your screen, that would be amazing.
Sure, also unmute myself, then it's better. You get a good result there. So that means that your structure and also natural language is pretty well done.
Good, so that's good. Well, it's a new site as well, so I'm sure the old site wasn't anywhere near as good. So over to you then. I'll turn my mic off, but I will turn it back on if I think there's a question or anything.
So hope you see my screen. So I'm directly in the app now.
Yeah.
So what you see,
everybody else, if you go top right, you'll see there's 2 arrows if you want to make the screen larger.
Exactly. So what you see if you jump into the app for the first time are not that many analyzers and brands like in my test user, but you get into the dashboard and you have on the one hand side left the navigation where you can go through various sections like a get started section with an introduction video, analyzing section, and rank and track section, where you also are able to manage all the various brands, or for example, clients or websites or your own products and brands you're doing. So, and on the right side, we see a dashboard where we can see an overview for the most recent analysis and brands and our credits, because Rankscale is actually credits based. I will come to that later. Also, we have a couple of limits regarding maximum of brands and analysis. So that's basically the first screen you see. I will now go, I will do 2 things. I will do a speed run on how to set up a brand and get some initial results. So you see how fast that works. And I will also show you like a brand where we already got some results in from a couple of search term executions or querying runs, however you want to call it. We can analyze all the results. And I will do like a speed run now. So what we do with Rankscale first, best thing is, as you've seen, we do an analysis first. So what it does is it gives you it gives us a full scorecard, but it also stores information of our website and all the specific content in our database, so we can later on use it to find topics and search terms. So we will now go with HubSpot.com and do a quick analysis. What it does in the background is it scrapes the complete content of the website. It, based on a trained AI, based on various papers and studies around GEO, it analyzes it and provides a specific scorecard. You will see this shortly. And it normally takes around 30 to 60 seconds. What we also can do is we can specify if it's only the landing page or up to 10 pages deep. And we can filter out images, and we have some anti-bot measures as well if we need that, and if a client, for example, has a specific blocking and we still want to go through that. So let's wait a couple of seconds until this is through. As it's a live demo, I didn't want to just take something readily prepared, so let's take 1 second. Here we are. This is the scorecard we get back. So we get a bit of a summary. I will go quickly through it. We get 3 or 4 different scorecards with specific breakdowns, key findings for the content, specific recommendation for each. So we can see, like, for example, authority of your website, it checks if there are testimonials present, if there are any affiliations, social media presence, all that things. Also in regards to engagement, it checks if there are any calls to action, how is the natural language structured, and also the content itself. It looks for Q&A techniques, FAQs, contact info. Also checks the technical part, so if that structure is readable, if there are headings in there, if there's alt text for images, for example, very important, if there are links present, and it provides you with recommendations what you can do to improve in this section. What it also gives you is, and this is still very basic, but it should be like overall an inspiration to improve your website. So it's not written in stone that everything what happens or what's in there is like the holy grail. No, it just should guide you. So what we get here is also like, it picks up a couple of paragraphs. it found in the website, gives you an improved version. So for example, it goes into some kind of a question and answer technique. It also tells you like why this improves AI search visibility. And overall, it does this 8 times. And just to give you some guidance regarding your own website. But now we have this analysis we can do out of it. We can create a new brand. So we say add to brands. And now we've created a new brand. It's here on the side, HubSpot. We can also click here and we see that we have no search terms yet. So in order to get some results and to analyze them, of course, we have to define the queries, the search terms, the questions people ask regarding specific topics or the product or the brand at all. So we will start with defining topics, and we can either do this like manually and just put it into a dialog and select what we need, or if we want to, we can let Rankscale find some topics for us and therefore use the analysis we just did. And now it queries and tries to find, based on the content we have, specific overarching or overall categories and topics, also why, and with specific keywords. So we can go in there and select some that would fit. I would do, for example, AI-powered business solutions, sales or customer service excellence. We can do these. Save selected topics, and I will add also one like manual one, customer relationship management tools. We can create that as well. And now we have 3 topics without any search terms yet. So a topic is like a bucket that you can actually put in search terms. So it is later easier to filter and to aggregate the data into meaningful metrics. In the search terms themselves, we have now the ability to add search terms either manually again, or let AI on Rankscale find it for us, or bulk add them if you have like hundreds of search terms with some comma and semicolon separated lines. We can use that as well. So in this case, I will add a term. I will use customer relationship management modules, say like best TM tools with the pros and cons in 2025. I'm curious. I will select all the available AI engines in Rankscale currently. I will select specifically for GPT-4o that we want to have web search. I won't alter any temperatures, so we can even do that. So if you're a geeky like me, you can also alter temperatures for this. In this case, by default, we always have like the default ones that are also used in the chat.
Could you just tell people basically what temperature does? Isn't it basically the creative freedom in the AI's response, right?
Yeah, I always call it's the craziness.
It's the craziness. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So the lower it is, the more specific the answers get, and the less crazy, so to say, less creative. And we have certain values by default, and we use that. But if we want to try out other ones, we can do that as well. So we also choose United States here, or we say we go for United Kingdom. It tells you for the AI overviews where currently AI overviews are available and where not. So we have some kind of a guidance. Currently, by the way, since yesterday, Google is also rolling out AI overviews in further countries in Europe. So as this is still only for signed-in users, it won't affect Rankscale, unfortunately, but this will be changed soon or improved soon, I guess. So yeah, we can shoot AI overviews from anywhere in the world and analyze the results. And also for ChatGPT, it uses then the same region. We can also use regions for ChatGPT. We can even go further and put in some specific regions if we like to, like, for example, London. Now we can set the tracking interval to hourly. We can give it some description if we like, and we can save it. So you see in the background, we now have saved all our search prompts for each AI engine. And we can even give it more. We say, okay, let's bulk add some paste terms, so we can use if we have another tool that gives us some prompts, we can just simply use that. We say it's separated by new lines. We add the terms. We give it a topic, or in this case, we can actually give it another topic to compare it. We can define like which engines we want to see here, which interval. We can copy the lines, delete the lines, and so on and so forth. Now we're adding also these. Takes a couple of seconds since it has to set some references in the background in the database. Now we have all our search terms set up, and either we directly activate them. So we say activate selected, then it will be executed or queried in the cloud. So with the specifically set interval will happen all completely automatic. And what it does is in the cloud, we have a running service that picks up search terms every 10 minutes. So the next slot will probably be, it's 10:40. So if we mouse over the details here, we see a bit more information. So the next run will be at 10:40. But if you are impatient like me, we can just select all the search terms and run them manually, execute them right away. And we see it's now running here on the site. We see
and one of the things you were explaining was the fact that this is a lot more expensive to run than an SEO ranking tool.
Yes,
so it's quite likely that you wouldn't have as many search queries, and you wouldn't necessarily run all the models at this stage. You'll probably focus on, I would say, probably 3, which would be AI Overviews, ChatGPT, and Perplexity, because that's going to give you a good representation. Because otherwise, it would become quite expensive, I would think.
Yes. Of course, it also, you don't have to do it hourly like me, because this is really expensive. You can also do it daily, weekly, or monthly, which is much more convenient than querying like hundreds of search terms every hour.
And when you decrease the frequency, it chews up less credits less quickly, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So now we did it manually. We see in here that we got one run everywhere. And as soon as this counter here turns blue, we also know that we got results in where it mentioned our own brand. So in this case, everywhere, HubSpot is pretty present, as we know. We can directly check it out by clicking on it, and we see the first preview of the results for this very single search term. It shows the visibility score, which is, others call it share of voice, which is a combination of detection rate and the rank, so the order of where the brand appeared first time. You see a sentiment score, which is average for all the runs we got in there. It's 90%. The higher it is, the more positive the AI was talking about us. You see the average position and the latest position, how often it got mentioned, how often it got referenced by any links.
I tell you what, Mathias, I was really wanting you to have the 71, the score, obviously next to it. So when you looked at this, you could quickly visually see what the current score was. So it's funny when you get somebody who uses it for the first time, they always sort of say, oh yeah, that would be really helpful. But I bet you've got a list as long as your arm of ideas.
Yeah. So I think what Anne was saying there is before you expand the search term, so when it's still all in a list and you haven't clicked one and it's all kind of it's all kind of shrunk down.
But you already see it, right?
The little visibility just on the end there. I think that's what Anne was saying. So
yeah.
I actually have a question for you, Anne, which is from Bobby, which says, hi, will you be sending us the link to the webinar recording after it's finished?
Yes, it should be in about 2 hours' time.
Okay, cool. Thank you. There's more questions as well, but I'm just letting Mathias finish before I bombard him with a load of questions.
Yeah, happy. Looking forward to. So we have a first preview here. As said, we can also go into details of this very search term. We can check out over time, and here we only have one time step, of course, because it just ran one time. We can check out all the metrics like visibility score over time, etc. We see which brands have been mentioned in there. We see that HubSpot was placed 5. We see which citations came up and also where the references coming from and which brands were basically referenced. It was it also an earned reference? How often was it mentioned? First seen, last seen, all that things. And we can also see execution history at the bottom where we get all the executions that happened. So far it's only one. And we can go into the details and check out here, for example, how it looked like. It automatically marks all the brands it found. It marks our own. It marks the citations, and it directly brings it up into the overview. In this case, it was pretty easily because the AI only with the brands in mind only cited the first citation. What we also get is the sentiment score, and with the mouse over, we can see it's pretty small. I hope you can see it's pretty small, but it gives you a reasoning as to why it came up with this sentiment score. So now we gathered a lot of data already. What's really interesting is after all these runs for the specific topics, we can actually, I quickly refreshed it so we are sure we have the latest data. We can actually see where we are overall. That means in the brand dashboard, we have a performance over time. It's currently only 1 hour. This is crucial. This is absolutely true, but we can see, okay, how is the AI engine performance? How is the topic performance specifically over time? And after some runs, you get some charts here. You can also change that to have other metrics available. You can also show the underlying like search terms and their specific results. And you see once again aggregated all the typical metrics Rankscale can do. And what we can also do is we can drill down into specific, let's say, AI engines and topics. So we can say, okay, in Google AI Overview for this topic, we performed this well. And this gives you some kind of an overview, like how we do currently in this AI engine. But where it's also interesting, or where we also can do something, is in the competitor overview. Here in the tab, we can, out of all these results, directly compare and find new competitors. We can compare our metrics against theirs. Specifically, we can sort and filter, of course, and we can specify which time range we are looking at or which time period. Another very interesting part in my eyes, and here we should go back to all topics and all engines for that, is the citations analysis. So out of all the runs we did so far, it gets us all the links and references and all the indexes.
And this is really useful if you want to try and improve your own. I mean, obviously, you're going to try and improve your own SEO, but if you want to be found in results and actually the results are coming from certain directories, then that's going to be really useful to make sure you're in those directories or in those publications.
Absolutely. So you see that just with this 10 minutes of work, we also already got some weighting in there too. We see that Zapier.com was the most cited source here. So if this is a magazine or a blog or anything other, we can actually talk to them or even to Zapier.com, maybe to promote ourselves or to have some paid blog articles or similar. So we know that this is pretty strong in the AI answers. We can, as before, we can drill that down, of course, into topics and AI engines. What we also get in here is, besides that, we get a domain overview and a citations overview. So basically domain is only the domain, citations overview are specific URLs, and we can analyze it. So for Zapier, for example, we can click that. We see that it came up 11 times already. We can click that. We see the brands that got mentioned with that domain. We can see the search terms that came up to this. And we can go even as down and load the executions to see like.
Now, can you explain what executions are? Because
Yes.
that's a terminology that's not really familiar with most people.
Yeah, it's more like for the devs, but it's basically the querying or the fetching of search results. So if we shoot a question to an AI engine, this is an execution for me.
So it's a bit like a run. It's the run in a way, in the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you're running it at 24 every hour, then you're going to have 24 executions a day.
Exactly. I was hoping to have an AI overview in there. Yeah, here we have it. So for example, we can see the runs which led to this citation. In here, we also have an AI overview, and we can once again like jump into the result and view what the AI overview gave back as a plain text. And it's exactly the same. So we see what it got back.
Yeah, that was why we found difficult to find this because we were looking around. So when we were
really?
looking around with it, yeah, because I wanted to see actually the mention, which is effectively the execution. So this is actually the response, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
And I found it really hard to find it, and eventually did find it. But what you're bringing back here is actually what was shown and the links and the mentions of the brand. So this is a really good way of being able to see how your result compares to the others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting. It's also in the search term itself. So in the search term detail view, I was showing earlier, at the bottom, you have all the runs, the history of the runs, and there you can also show the exact same dialogue. So yeah, we see here what AI overviews brought back. We see that it brought back a couple of citations automatically referenced, or our Rankscale automatically recognized like where the brands actually were listed, and brings it all together, gives you once again the rank. And here we, out of the database, we can then sum it up and show it off.
So the reason that this is really important, guys, is that you're not necessarily going to immediately be able to get into the training data, because that's going to take a year, maybe, until it's updated again. I know the frequency is increasing, but they are using all these other online searches and these citations, etc. So if you can get into some of those, then that's going to help get you mentioned. You were going to say something. Sorry, Mathias.
No worries. And also, I have to say that AI or LLMs with web search enabled, they are super primitive these days. So I will afterwards post a link to a blog post about the topic, but they pick up like anything. So you will see that a lot of top 10 blog post articles are simply directly taken into account, although they were done by, for example, the product brand themselves, to promote themselves. They will directly take it over and also list it as a top one, for example, or other influences. So it's really, really hard to get quality sources and checks into LLMs currently. It just takes what it finds. So
in that case, then I know you've got more things to show. Does that mean that there isn't a good correlation between SEO? You could actually be very successful in AI overviews without being as successful in SEO.
No, I wouldn't say that. So SEO is very essential still. So you have to be listed also by classic search engines, also to be part of the data set of the web search of the LLMs.
Right.
But the LLMs just take over whatever content they find. They don't do any quality checks or fact checks about it. They just take it, and as soon as you are in one of the lists, for example, you're mentioned. Okay. And depending on the pros and cons, and even if there is a Reddit article about you where there is a completely wrong fact, for example, you're too expensive, it will show up and it will absolutely influence your rankings and your visibility. Okay. So I have a friend who happened to have exactly this situation with his SEO agency, and he found it and showed it on LinkedIn. I can also provide you this. So one of his clients, completely without any reason, was ranked down because of a Reddit post that wasn't true or was not affecting the or didn't have the right facts. So I will, yeah.
We've got a quarter of an hour, so is there any other?
I will run through. Yeah, sorry. Citations.
No, good. Thing. I think it's because it's so exciting, and I'm sure there's lots of questions. So.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's a few.
Then I will cut it here. I will just show you how it looks if you have a lot of data already. So here, for example, I had SEMrush. We see the performance over time. We see how the AI engines.
Can you look over a longer period of time, maybe daily, because that's going to be more realistic.
Of course. For this test, I just did it hourly to have some data already to talk about. Okay. But what you see here is the AI engine performance, for example. It's volatile, so it's not always the same. It's not very consistent. Also from a ranking average position point of view, it's not always the same. So you could expect that results, they actually change.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's jump into the questions. It's much better. Maybe we can answer it also with.
You haven't got a data for a longer period from another example.
Not like for a month, because I'm working on the platform all the time. Okay. But for today, I had a couple of hourly runs in the background.
Okay, it's questions time. So I've got loads of different questions down from all different people. I'm actually going to ask Lorna's question first because it relates to what you literally were just talking about. Mm-hmm. And Lorna asks, how do you counteract the incorrect information and kind of repair your visibility, like in the AIs and LLMs, to kind of be more positive? So I guess it would just be produce more, go and produce some other Reddit posts, right?
Yeah, it's that, or of course you have to try to contact the author actually. And where Rankscale helps you is you can find out like in which citations the results weight the most, or which sources are cited the most, so you can try to counteract it by getting into another blog article or post or thread or whatsoever, or magazine article that maybe helps to counteract it. So as soon as it's there, the internet never forgets. So either it's deleted at some point or it's too old. But in this extreme case I had, the Reddit post was even more than 1 year old. So it was just a problem.
Cool. Okay, so I've got a question from Charlotte, which I actually already answered in the chat. But in case other people didn't see it, I think it would be good to ask it to you kind of directly. So from Charlotte said, is this free to use or a paid tool? So obviously in the chat, I responded, well, it is a paid tool because there's underlying API requests to the AI data models, and they charge for that. So there basically has to be at least some fixed cost underneath to use it. But I did also say at the moment you're kind of operating a top-up credit-based model, which is quite handy. So
yeah, maybe to add to this, currently you can try it for free. You just shoot me the early access request and I'll approve it right away. It gives you a couple of credits, so you can do it with the weekly analysis already. You can do the analysis itself as a free feature on the landing page. And what as you said, James, we have some credit packages as well for early access users currently, so you can top up the credits already. Right. And have like additional bonus credits for early access users, and those won't go away. So even after the launch, which we soon have, it will stay present, and you can use up your credit packages after we have monthly subscription tiered programs. So this will not be one-time payment afterwards. So when we go live, we will have a subscription model with a monthly fixed amount of credits, same as here. 120, 1200, and so on and so forth. But it will be renewed every month, and you will be able to add on top to that as well.
And I've just dropped into the chat as well. I've dropped in your Rankscale.ai homepage again, and just the instruction, click the early access button. And that's how people sign up for that, isn't it? They just go to your homepage, press the button, put their email in, and then you review them, don't you? So there you go.
Absolutely.
And so that's great. So we've still got plenty of questions. So we have a couple of questions from Nupa, and the first question is it possible to download the data? So can you like export tables of like all the different search terms and everything?
Exactly. Quickly show you. You can select all search term execution data you want to export. We can quickly say export selected. We can do it to a CSV or to a Google Sheet directly. If we do it for a CSV, we get all the raw execution data, like from every run with every result and brands and sentiment reasoning and everything you need to have into a CSV with, in this case, a couple of lines for you to post-process or to put into reports.
Okay, so that's really great. So I'm going to move on to Nupa's second question, which is also related to a question from Rankshift.ai as well. So I'm going to read out both of these questions because they're highly interrelated, and you can kind of give a more general answer or a more specific answer. So Nupa asks, what is sentiment score? Please elaborate. And then there was a very similar question from Rankshift.ai, which was, how do you calculate the sentiment? Do you create your own algorithm, or are you pulling the sentiment data from somewhere else? But obviously you may or may not wish to answer that more detailed question, but it's up to you. So
Sure. So I can give you a rough overview. It's basically a combination of an algorithm and AI. So we try to estimate, compared to the other brands in the result, the kind of a sentiment and pros and cons, how the AI is talking about our brand, and bring that down to a value. And with this, we then can compare to the other brands as well. Still very basic, but it will be improved further and sooner to really go also into specific areas and specific like topics that may are perceived well or perceived bad, and also save that. So currently, very simple, just a sentiment calculated out of a rule set I gave, in the future, we will also have like different areas for it.
Great. So now I have a question from Kasim, which is a little bit detailed. So it says, "Hi, Mathias. I want you to explain more in detail how you are calculating the metrics, or I guess some of the metrics, but a specific example is given here. So the question states, example, for content quality, how many pages are you considering? So for example, if a website has like 2,000 pages on, and then you're then later returning a kind of generic content quality score, like how many pages on the website are actually looked at in terms of how that content quality score is returned and stuff like that? Is it like a big crawl of the site, or is it,
No.
you know, does it crawl like a few examples of main page archetypes? And
so what the analysis does is, if you have this checked by default, it only analyzes the first landing page it got. So also like the crawler maybe only analyzes the first page, but you can uncheck that and then it goes 10 pages deep, but not more currently. So up to 10 pages, and that's it. So if we unselect it, it will also check like, I don't know, news, imprint, whatsoever.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. And then the last question that I have written down is from Ebony, and it says, "Hi, can Rankscale.ai be used to evaluate my brand on Amazon?" Which is kind of an interesting question.
That's a very interesting question, and no, not yet. But
do you want to explain what why Amazon AI is suddenly become important? Because most people don't even realize that Amazon's got its own AI, do they?
True. I also, do you mean me or do you mean James? Sorry.
Well, I was hoping you might have a bit more information, but I know about Rufus and Cosmo, and that's about it.
Yeah, for me also, I did not focus yet on Amazon, but I will, as this is not the first time I hear this question, because I think especially for e-commerce brands, this is highly interesting.
I guess there's different levels to it, isn't there? Because there's obviously like Amazon internal AI and Amazon's own AI that it uses to sort and rank different stores and products and stuff inside of Amazon. But then there's also the fact that maybe you don't have a website and you just have an Amazon store, and you're actually looking for ways to get your Amazon store to appear more in Google AI Overview. So you can see it's kind of got different layers to it, doesn't it? But
yeah, I mean, the Rufus and Cosmo is about the fact that now when you go on, they're definitely changing their algorithm, but there's also, I think something was published yesterday called interests, so you can find products in a different way. And it's trying to rank and display products differently. So it's an area that I've only just become familiar with in the last month. So it's something that's definitely changing really, really quickly. Another really interesting thing about what you just said was the fact, well, you know, you want to get your Amazon page listed in the AI overviews. But interestingly, a lot of time product-based stuff is not being shown in Google AI overviews because they'd rather make money out of it and show the ads. So until product ads become more familiar within AI overviews will always be pushed down relative to ads, because the shopping ads are what makes Google money. But I want to throw a new one in, which I don't think anybody saw. In fact, I only heard it, just caught it. Just somebody did a throwaway comment in a conference last week, and the fact is that you've probably all heard of this term AI agents. It's meant to be the term of 25, which is where you get AI automation to do jobs for you, do tasks for you. So they work autonomously. So it might be as simple as you get an email comes into your email box, and as soon as it comes in, AI looks at it, reviews it, decides what you need to do with it, and then sends an example of an answer, which you can then say, yeah, I'm going to go with that answer, and then you reply. So that would be autonomous, but humans might interfere at the end. There's also something called OpenAI Operator, which is in the very expensive $200 a month version. And if you go and look up a YouTube video on OpenAI's Operator, it's got its own web browser, and you can actually get it to go and buy your plane tickets for you.
Wow.
So that is really incredible. So that's the next stage. That's where we're all going. But the interesting thing then is, how do you make your product or your service attractive so that an AI operator who hasn't got any emotional connection will think that yours is the right one to buy? You know,
yeah, in other words, where will the source of data be that AI draw from in terms of,
and how do they make their conclusion? Is it going to be based on price? Is it going to be based on reviews? Is it going to be based on ratings? Is it going to be based on the schema that you mark your website up with?
Or an aggregation of like even all of that stuff eventually.
Exactly. So in the same way that Mathias has built this nice analysis tool and given scores, you know, that might become even more important as it's AI rather than humans that are making decisions about whether it decides to go and buy your paper clips for your stationery cupboard from Amazon or from someone else this week. Yeah. So you can imagine that it will evolve very, very quickly as that becomes quite dominant.
Just had a question from Michael. So are AI overviews now visible everywhere in Europe and also the UK, or are they limited to certain places? So my understanding was that in a number of English-speaking countries like the UK and USA, they've actually been rolled out even if you're not signed in to Google. But in other European nations, I think especially where English isn't necessarily the predominant language, they have rolled it out in some of those areas, but only if you're like signed in and only if you're part of Google allocating your account to that particular test that they're running and stuff.
Yeah, it's like called the labs, isn't it? Do you know, Mathias? Because Mathias, you probably have a better idea on that.
Yeah, just what I do is I send you the official link from Google, so here you can also read it. It's only for signed-in users yet, so the additional countries. It depends on the language, of course, and it's only for 18 plus currently. Okay. So with Rankscale, we cannot analyze it yet because it does not log in for you, of course. Yeah. But as I see that also UK and US and so on are without sign-in needed, I think this will happen.
So I wondered why we got 83% then. Is it worth us looking, and because we've only got a few minutes left, why would, because that seems high when you've got people like SEMrush and HubSpot, they've got sort of very similar grades. You know, what is it that we're,
yes, everything above 80 is HubSpot territory and is pretty good. So I think you only have, if at all, some minor adaptations maybe, but it will bring you also down to 50 or 60 if there are certain things missing. So I have also seen that.
Okay.
I found I'm just going to put something in the chat as well, because I found an interesting post from Search Engine Land recently. And the post is by Danny Goodwin, who I sometimes work with, because obviously I'm also an author at Search Engine Land as well. So I communicate with Danny sometimes, but it says 82% of Google AI Overview citations come from deep pages.
Yeah.
So it's like the more specific.
Not the top 10. That's what I read as well.
Yeah.
That's why.
So it's almost like, because do you remember in like the early days of SEO when Google's algorithms were a bit less sophisticated? Yeah. It was really like deeply nested, specific content that performed better, and we're almost kind of going back to that now with the LLMs.
I've misunderstood you. You mean it's not the homepage; it's a deep page, but they still could be in the top 10. Because I'm sure I read somewhere else that 60% of the results, they're not in the top 10 in the SEO results.
Well, this is a different thing. So this is 82% of Google AI Overview citations. So that's where Google AI Overview gives a link, right? Come from deep pages. And by deep pages, it means more deeply nested, more specific pages. So it seems that when you get citations, it's quite often a very specific, more deeply nested page rather than just a category page or your home page or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
I was just going to show our rating again. Can you see my screen when I go back onto?
It's there.
I was curious to know because we got the 83 readiness score there. Content quality and relevance, that's good. Technical SEO engagement. So I would have thought authority would be where we were lacking because we're only at about a 50 Ahref score. Legal compliance. Oh, I wonder what we've not done there. I wonder. Yeah, this is very nice to know we've got a score of 83%. But I'm guessing you'd go for, yeah, I bet our readability is probably quite technical.
Maybe quick one in between. This will also be improved in order to give you feedback on where it specifically got this score from. So if there are really like topics like readability, it will give you an example like directly out of the content. Currently, you don't have this.
Oh, I see. So once the new version will have actually examples of where it's poor, would it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got a couple more little questions and comments coming in. So Michael asks, are Fraggles still a thing? I don't actually know what that means. So I'm going to be honest with that one. I don't know.
I also have another question about this before you answer that. Is it reviewing the whole of the website or just the homepage?
As said, you can choose either by having only the homepage and landing page, or going 10 pages deep.
Okay, so I've no idea what I did on mine. So
I guess only the homepage.
Okay,
because it's default.
Right.
I didn't get your question, James. It was something about Fraggles. I was reading at the same time another question.
Yeah. So there's a comment also, which is just kind of like a nice comment from Glenn, which says, "Thanks all. I've referred you into a company I have invested in, which is VAX.ai, and hopefully they will give it a go." So I think they're talking about Rankscale.ai there, and maybe giving it a go. Also referred you into a friend who is doing AI lead gen and stuff like that. So that's kind of nice that people seem to be feeling positive about it, isn't it? That's pretty good.
It also fills my heart because I'm going all in, as said, and I need reach. So I'm not an SEO person, don't have a big network. So I'm happy if somebody recommends Rankscale.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the recommendations, Anicca Digital Reviews, but if you can specifically mention Mathias in there, that would be brilliant. And then he can copy those and put them onto his website as well. So if you've enjoyed this presentation and you think this is really exciting, then that would be amazing for anybody that would like to, thank Mathias for, first of all his effort in putting this tool. The tool is really amazing. But my main thing is I just got to get used to using it, and there's some UX recommendations, because obviously when you use a tool for the first time, there's sort of where's that, but that's just because we haven't had enough training. But I'm sure that it's always like that when you use a new tool, isn't it? But also because you're still in development, I'm hoping we can make some recommendations that you might actually find quite helpful.
Michael's just quickly clarified what he meant by Fraggles as well. So I think I actually know more what he's talking about now. So he says, AI answers pulled from deep pages to answer a question. So Fraggles are the line of text from a page that answers the query. So essentially, that's more like, before AI overviews were a thing, and you would have like knowledge graph and knowledge panels. And sometimes even before AI overviews existed, Google would still sometimes try to directly answer a search query, but rather than that being powered by AI, it was powered algorithmically, right? And so I guess what Michael means is that, whilst you have like knowledge panels on the front end of Google, so you ask a question and it just directly answers it, the Fraggle is actually the thing that is not on Google's front end. It's the thing on the actual website where that information is pulled from. So I guess he's just asking, is that still a thing? But I guess it kind of revolves really more around like tokenization now, doesn't it?
You have it kind of a thing in the AI overviews. I see where Google AI Overviews puts back or gives back the links and the citations. You also have like a one-liner for each one, which is often cut, which I think is something like that.
Cool.
Okay, guys, we better call it a day because a lot of people have other meetings at 10 o'clock, so we're going to start losing the numbers pretty quickly. But thank you so much for being our guest today. We have invited you to the conference as well, of course. If any of you are interested, and you want to, we have got an event on the 10th of April, e-commerce lunch. So if any of you want to email me about that, or go and have a look on the website under the event section. Check our new website out, by the way, as well. See you all soon, or see you all next Friday. I'm not sure who it is next week. I think it's something to do with PPC, but I'm not sure. So see you next Friday, and thank you so much again. I'll stop the recording.
Thank you so much.